Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women of all ages, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, my name is Skylar Santana. And on this channel, we talk about all things watch related. Today, we're going to do a deep dive. We're going to do an unboxing of PHOIBOS. They reached out. They wanted to see if I was interested in taking a look at one of their brand new models. Their Voyager just came out. Now, I haven't covered PHOIBOS just yet on this channel, so we're going to take a look at a couple of things. We're going to take a look at a new release watch that they actually sent to me. And I'm going to wait a couple of minutes so people can come in and they can enjoy the unboxing with us. And with that time, what I'll do is we'll talk a little bit about the brand. Now, how did I find out about PHOIBOS? How did I even know about them? You guys know that I'm interested in web-based brands. And PHOIBOS, if you happen to be listening, a web-based brand is a watch enthusiast brand. That's just something that I like to use. I don't use micro brand too much. I don't use independent too much anymore. That's what I like to use. But I was interested about PHOIBOS for a lot of reasons. And the biggest reason of all is seeing it on the wrist of a lot of enthusiasts. That's how I get to gauge what the community is truly interested in as far as watch brands go. And that's how I get introduced to a lot of watch brands. Now, you guys know that I'm a big advocate for Watch Crunch. I've been a part of that platform. I've been a part of that community. There's a lot of great people on there. There's a lot of other great communities that are amongst us. But now, wristwatch check. I don't have a wrist on this hand because I'm going to put on the PHOIBOS. But I have my F91W to keep me company. And I have the wristband from Watch Crunch, from a Watch Crunch meetup, if you will. So I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. And this is how I get to see, because on Watch Crunch, everybody posts their wrist watch check for the day. And that's how I pretty much see what's on the wrist of enthusiasts, which leads me to be intrigued about certain web-based brands where I want to reach out. I want to do things like this so I can get accustomed to their watches and see what their watches are all about so I can report the news onto you. So just for full disclosure, the watch was sent to me. It doesn't have to get sent back. There's no other money in the hands that were changed. They don't have a script for me. I do everything on my own, and my words are always as much. So with that being said, I want to share this screen with you guys and show you what I'm talking about here. So on the wrist, now on Watch Crunch, you can go to PHOIBOS here where there's a hashtag for that. And even so on regular wrist checks, there's a lot of people wearing different models, different iterations. The first thing that struck out to me when it came to this brand was the different colors and a bunch of fun that they have with their designs, right? Now, they specifically stick to a lot of divers, as we can see. This one looks like so much of a compressor design. May not be an exact compressor, but it looks like one. But a lot of fun, bright colors are used with PHOIBOS. They specialize in a lot of divers. They're on the wrist of a lot of enthusiasts. As you guys can see, a lot of people proudly sport their watch, and they're in the range of where somebody can consider starting their journey. They're affordable watches as is. And because they give that language design and a good spread of that language design, a lot of people are enjoying their PHOIBOS watch and are proudly posting their wrist shots for it. And that's how I pretty much got exposed, or rather, that's how I got aware and alerted of the brand to begin with. So with that being said, I want to welcome Larry into the chat. I want to welcome Mr. Simon, Wristful Ignorance. Good afternoon, sir. We are going to be talking about PHOIBOS. So you love your Voyager, Larry, and it's from when they first came out. Nice. With many years to go, my Voyager is a light blue. I love that piece. And a lot of my regular roach, nice, man. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. And here's the deal, dude. I think there's going to be a lot of people who see this video who own PHOIBOS watches, right? And they love their PHOIBOS watches. And we have you in the chat, which is great, where you can speak to the quality, speak to how when you bought that first watch from the brand, when they first came out, that watch has lasted you, yes? And they keep coming out with new designs and new iterations. I'm happy to be able to present this GMT for sure. And with that being said, I want to speak a little bit about PHOIBOS, if you will, Larry and Wristful, because I feel that there may be people out there that are not aware of the brand. So just to give a little context, what I'd like to do is I want to bring up a little bit of a backdrop while I ramble on. We will do the unboxing. I'm figuring that we're going to get to that about 15 minutes, 20 minutes in, just so that you're aware. I'll try to keep on schedule, but we'll see what happens. Hang on one second. Let me bring this up for you guys so you guys can enjoy some background stuff. Yeah, we're getting a little fancy on this channel now. We're trying at least, okay? So we're going to have a little background stuff while I'm rambling on, and hopefully the playlist will continue to play. But here's the deal. PHOIBOS watches are a Hong Kong-based micro brand. Named after the Greek god Apollo, inspired by a trip to Greece, the brand aims to offer a well-built diver watch with distinctive style. The founder, Ethan, developed a series of divers watches that have excellent design, build quality, and Larry, you can speak to that build quality, combined with Hong Kong's craftsmanship and reliable Swiss-Japanese movements. I guess they use both Swiss and Japanese movements. As a micro brand in the diver watch world, PHOIBOS would like to take design inspiration from the ocean, utilizing the octopus as a logo, due to it being an ancient creature and symbolizing flexibility, creativity, intelligence, expansion, and an unpredictability, right? We never know what PHOIBOS is going to do with their design next. The sky's the limit, and that's the MO for micro brands. That's something that they like to do. They like to pivot. They like to sometimes revisit designs, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on, especially on the model that I was given. But the fact that you really can't predict what's going to come next from them is what keeps things fresh and exciting, if you will. PHOIBOS takes classic dive watch elements like big loomed indices, rotating bezels, and robust cases, and executes them with high quality components and fantastic manufacturing. All right. So let me speak on that. And I've spoken to a few web-based brands that have manufacturing coming out of Hong Kong, especially. And I'll tell you what, man, there are a lot of them that are utilizing manufacturers from Hong Kong, and they really stick by the quality that's coming out of there. We're talking about facilities that have a dust-free environment, a vacuum-sealed kind of environment. If you go to Hong Kong and you find the right connection to manufacturing your watches, you can have a very good product being produced out of there. So I've heard that before. That's not just specifically for PHOIBOS. I've heard that with a couple of other brands. So I have seen some reliability from that part, if you will. Kevin is in the building. Oscar's in the building. What's going on, gentlemen? So let's go back to it, shall we? So price and availability with PHOIBOS. PHOIBOS watches are competitively priced with many different diver models starting at the $300 range. The mid-range pieces like the 41mm GMT divers listed around $399, while new releases in the Wave Master list in the mid-400s. Okay, so we're talking about a $300, $400, maybe tops $500 range. So most PHOIBOS models fall within the $300 to $500 range, which is remarkably low given their specifications, right? And we're going to get into the specifications of the watch. I have that listed as well. PHOIBOS watches are sold through an official website, which gives shipping globally. They maintain a U.S. warehouse for tariffs and free deliveries. Authorized dealers like Long Island Watch and various online retailers stock many models, often with free shipping. PHOIBOS watches are also on Amazon via distributors, right? So popular models are usually stocked when released, but limited editions often sell out quickly, right? And that's true too, because I did see some couple models on their website that was already sold out, and we'll speak about that a little bit later. Watch enthusiasts praise PHOIBOS for outstanding value. Collectors note that PHOIBOS delivers serious dive watch specs with entry-level prices. Owners of PHOIBOS frequently highlight the excellent lume and solid bracelet. PHOIBOS focuses on value and has earned a loyal following. PHOIBOS watches combine rugged dive watch construction and strike design details. PHOIBOS targets enthusiasts seeking real dive watch performance, 200 meters to 500 meters on their divers specifically, and a screw-down crown with a stylish flair of a modest budget, right? So all that to say this, and I know that sounds very, that sounds very commercial. I understand that, but here's the deal, guys. When I dig these things up, when I talk about these web-based brands, this is not a commercialized thing. These are things and how people truly feel. If you don't believe me, you can just read the chat, because my man Larry is one of the buyers and one of the people that follow it. And I had no idea Larry would be here, but I wasn't surprised to the fact that he started off with a watch from that company and is an advocate for it. What are you guys saying on Trent? Everything is well done. Sapphire NH35 stainless steel bezel with textures and great bracelet. It also has a gorgeous face and indices. The only complaint is the lume is not super great. And guess what, Larry? I'm going to go into that. This is just an unboxing. This is just an introductory. We are going to do a deep dive. I'm going to wear the watch for a few weeks, but I wanted to get ahead of the release that's currently being out. So this watch was released, I think, a day or two ago. It is available. So I did want to get underneath it. I didn't want to wait. And we will wear the watch for a couple of weeks. Now, here's something a little different that I'm going to do. For this review, I'm going to try to incorporate my wife. She's going to be wearing the watch. She's going to have her thoughts and opinions. I'm going to try to get her on camera to say a few words as if she's a reviewer. We're going to have some fun with this next review of this watch a couple weeks down the road. But guess what? I have to wear the watch, or rather she has to wear the watch. I'll wear it for a few days just so I can get my feels. But I'm going to let my wife wear the watch and get the full experience of this watch in totality. This way, I can get a full deep dive review that is accurate to what the watch is presenting and how it makes me feel. Right now, I'm expecting great things because I've only heard good things for this watch company. But I'll tell you what, off the bat, PHOIBOS gives me the feel of being hold on one second. The PHOIBOS gives me the feel of being a brand where people can start their watch collection, right? And I'm not saying that's limited to only people starting their watch collection with this company. What I'm saying is at the price point. Now, here's the deal, right? I don't want to, what's the word? I don't want to present, if somebody came to me and they said, hey, what's the first watch that I should purchase? I don't want to say that $1,000 or $1,200 purchase is going to be the best buy. Why? Because the average person, the average guy, gal, are not going to value the watches off bat if they're just starting getting into watch collecting. So for me to offer and say that that price range is where to start could be off-putting. It could scare people. It could say like, what are you talking about? Like, average person who spends on a watch who's not a watch enthusiast and who's not into watches is going to go on Amazon and buy something from $30 to $50 price range, okay? And if they go on YouTube and they watch a channel say that the starting price for a watch is $1,000, I think that's absurd. Now, to be fair, even $300 to $500 may scare them a little bit. But at least if you were to back all those things and explain things to them in a vivid way of why you're getting that value and what are the things that you should learn to appreciate those things, I think that that's legitimate altogether. So let me make sure you guys are good on chat. I think you are. I'm going to speed through this guy and then I'll switch over to speaking a little bit more directly to you. So that is my thoughts. That is my first knee-jerk reaction to PHOIBOS altogether. I feel that it's a brand that is affordable. I do feel that it is going to give good specifications. We're going to get into that. I am going to do the unboxing. We are just about 15 minutes in, so I am on time. Excuse me, I got to take a sipski. So what I'd like to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is I'd like to bring up the watch cam, and I'd like to unbox the watch. That's not good enough. There we go. So actually, you know what? Let's do a solo. You don't need to see my face. Hopefully I didn't remove myself, did I? No, you could still hear me. Fantastic. So let's do an unboxing. And you know what? Before we do that, I want to say something. I want to say thank you to you guys. For those who are watching right now, for those who are watching in the playback, this channel would not have been able to do things like this. The unboxings, the borrowing of the watch or watches given to the channel, whatever the case may be. I would not be able to do this if not you guys trading your most valuable asset. And I want to say that that's very serious to me. I like to give you guys value. That's why I have the scripts. That's why I have the setup. That's why I take my time. That's why I try to deliver the value, because you guys are taking the time to watch this content. And if not for you, I wouldn't be able to do this. Rant over. I just wanted to give you guys a little appreciation and make sure you guys know that I do appreciate. So let's get to the unboxing, right? Skylar, stop talking. That's what you're saying. You're like, you know, Raymond D is in the building. I do see you. So this is exactly how the watch came. Now I got to do the talking hands now. You see how I like to pivot? The watch came just like this. This is how you can expect to get the watch when you make the purchase. I did open it up prior because I did want to size it, because I did want to show you guys how it really looks on my 7¼ inch wrist. for reference. So here we go. We have some branding on the boxing itself. Let's move some lighting here. We have some branding on the watch. Now, I like these watch boxes better than anything else. They're a little bit more sophisticated. They for sure, they're like a leather covering, but they're also very hard. So your watch is going to be safe inside transit for this. It is a little bit more elegant than just having like a Pelagos case. So I do like this. It does have some branding. We're not here for the paperwork. I do like the fact that there are some straps here to hold an additional strap. It didn't come with an additional strap. However, if you were to use this as a carrying case, you could use this additional slot here to hold that. For me, it's holding the extra links that I took out. And then it has a nice divider here to keep the watch housing and safe and keeping separation from that possible strap that you would have additionally with it. Now, inside of here, you also have a holder for the watch, the cutout for the watch head. And this is the version that I was sent to me. Now, I went with this version specifically for a reason, okay? I went with this version because I've never owned mother of pearl, and I still don't own mother of pearl. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the wife really loves this look, and she's really digging it, and I low-key did pick this one, hoping that she would like it, and she does. So she will be wearing this watch on wrist for a few weeks. I'm going to have her jot down notes, and then I want to give her the opportunity to try to see what it is to be in my seat where you talk about the watch and try to speak about its specifications, try to speak about the fit and feel and everything else of the like. So this is a GMT watch. This is an NH34 that's inside of this. Let's bring up the specifications so make sure I know what I'm talking about, right? That'd be nice. Watch unboxing. Okay, so mother of pearl, like I said, dial, NH34. 316L stainless steel. So this is a 39 by 45 with a 13.2 millimeter thickness. So not too bad. Something that we normally are going to be used to as far as that's concerned, right? The weight is 171 grams with the bracelet. I think that that's a fully linked. We'll deep dive into that on the deep dive review that we're going to do. 316L stainless steel for the bracelet, of course. We have a clasp. Now, this is the important part, and I kept the plastic on this clasp for a reason. But here's the important part, right? When it comes to a clasp, of course, we want milled. We got that. But here's the deal. Here's something that's a big deal nowadays, right? Is this quick release, right? So this is like a ratcheting system. You pull this here, and then that extends it, and then you could just push it in to size it on wrist, right? Very, very nice. In addition to that, what I also like to see on a bracelet is a quick release, right? So female end links, right? Pretty much just has a complete drop down. It has a little bit of a stiff play here, but it does pretty much drop down afterwards. But quick release, like I said, diver extension. It has like a ratcheting system, if you will. We're going to play around with this to see how good that is. But as you guys can see, it works pretty well. It does its job. It's nice to have that on a hot day, especially now that we're in New York and we're in the summer type of vibe. We have a screw down crown. It does have some great knurling on there. Okay. Great knurling on the bezel itself to match. We have a signed crown, of course. The case back is very, very nicely decorated as well. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But let me make sure I got everything here. Tapered 20 millimeter to an 18 millimeter on the actual bracelet itself. Here's the deal. Double dome sapphire crystal, right? Now, what's important about a double dome, when you have a double dome sapphire crystal, you want to make sure that you have a good amount of AR coating. Now, you guys are seeing some reflecting, but I have a really big window on this side, like they're humongous windows. So you are going to see some reflection. Plus, I have a light source hitting here. So in the review, we're going to take a look at that and make sure. But they do have 3 layers of anti-reflective coating, which is important, I think, to have on a double domed sapphire crystal, right? And it is nice that we have sapphire. Now, water resistance, it's 100 meters of water resistance, right? So we're talking about 330 feet. Now, here's the deal. Before somebody gets aggroed, let me pull myself up here. How do I pull myself up? Hold on. Before somebody gets aggroed about that, 100 meters of water resistance. Let's unpack that. Now, I just said that PHOIBOS is known to have diving watches from 300 to 500. This is a GMT. Let's be realistic, right? And this is not in the defense of PHOIBOS having 100 meters of water resistance, because I know how the community feels overall about that. But let's be honest with ourselves. Can we please for a moment? When are you going to go 330 feet underwater? Please tell me. You're not going to do it. Now, I know that there's like a mental part where you feel more comfortable about getting a 200 meter, or maybe you're just a spec junkie, right? Maybe you just, but at the end of the day, this is not supposed to be necessarily a dive watch. Yes, this is supposed to be a GMT. It's supposed to be a traveler watch. So having that 100 meters of water resistance is completely acceptable in my book. And if you had a field watch, I look for more 150, 100 still good. And if you have a dive watch, then I kind of push more for the 200 meters. But with that being said, I'm not going 200 meters of water resistance under. I respectfully respect the fact that if you just are a spec junkie and you want that, that's fine. I just wanted to touch upon that. Let's get back to the watch, shall we? So Trap Vision is in the building. Ben 10 is in the building. Eric Mack is in the building. What's up, gentlemen? So where were we? So we were at 100 meters of water resistance. Again, we have a crown on here that is signed. It is a screw down crown. Okay, so I know a lot of people want the screw down crown. You know what's interesting that I noticed out of the box? Instead of having horizontal brushing, this has vertical brushing. You don't see that often. You be the judge of how the quality is on that brushing. For me, it is a little bit harsh, right? It's not exactly satin finish. You could see the lines and everything else. But again, we have to stay on par about the price point as is. Now, this bezel is an actual 24 click, right? To stay in line with that GMT hour markings. So that is the reason why that it's only 24 clicks. It's just trying to give you an additional time zone. Now you can keep track of 2 time zones because we don't see anything internally that will give us the 3rd time zone. But I think for the most part, most people are just trying to keep track of 2 time zone. What did he just say? For the most part, people are trying to keep track of 2 time zones as is. So for me, that's enough. It has 24 clicks. Something that we're not too much used to. And I like the overall design for it, right? It has a good overall design. So Luminova, right? Super Luminova BGW9 is what we're going to receive on this. That's on the hands, the indice, and the bezel markings. I will give you guys a lume shot when I do the deep dive review. This is just an unboxing. I am doing a lot of coverage on it because they did just release this watch. What is also nice, aside from this watch, overall on the specs, right? Let me bring myself back up. What's nice overall is you are getting also a 2-year warranty. Now, they are utilizing an NH movement, a Seiko movement. So I don't think in the first 3 days, if you don't have an issue with that movement, you're not going to have an issue 2 years down the line. But it's still nice to see that minimum required of a 2-year warranty. And they have international distribution for it, as I mentioned earlier on. Islander Watch carries them, so you know that they're good. They're also accessible through Amazon itself. So I will catch up on chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just, let's put it on wrist. How about that? Catch me outside. So let's put this on wrist. Now this is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. We'll bring that camera back up just so you guys can see. So this is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. Let's get a nice shot of that. So it is a fairly good fit. Now here's the deal. I, for the most part, am not going to be wearing this watch. My wife will be, because she will be giving us her thoughts on the watch itself. I will wear it for about a week's time, and by that time, I will have my mind wrapped around everything. But I never had mother of pearl, and because we're married, I could always borrow her watch. But I was hoping that she would take a liking to this, and she has. So it's a fantastic watch as far as your partner liking it too, you know. And she really, really did dig this watch. So she is really going to like it. I do like that 5-link bracelet. Now, here's the thing about the bracelet. I like how it is polished in the center, brushed on the sides. The clasp, I have the plastic still on here because I have to do B-roll shots. I apologize. But the clasp is brushed in the center. It has a engravement, of course, and then it's polished on the edging. So done correctly, right? Because this is the most point of contact when you're wearing a bracelet where you're going to contact with the desk or whatever the case may be. So you don't want the middle to be actually polished as is. But it's nice to have those little accents for the sides of it to kind of match that polishing and everything else going on. Let's catch up on chat, and then where are we going to go from here? We're going to take a look at the website, guys, because here's the deal. This is an unboxing, but this is also an audit for PHOIBOS. Since it's the first time the brand being on the channel, I do want to take a look at the website as well. And on my notes, I had some pricing, but it is released now. So You're going to see the pricing on the website, but just so you guys know, from June 10th to July 10th, there is a 20% discount that they're offering with the code VR20. It is in the description in case you want to know that as well. So now that we're done with that, let's put this away. Let me see what you guys are saying. Phoibos watches. Phoibos had a watch that preceded the Voyager that was a woman's watch called the Sea Nymph. Nice. That's a cool name. I like the Voyager too, by the way. Now that we're talking about it, Larry! Who knows where that's from? I like the Voyager. It makes sense. It's a GMT watch, right? The Voyager looked similar to the Sea Nymph. You know what? We're going to go to the website, and I think that's going to come up too. I feel like 100 meters is good. It is good, though. Ben, respectfully for those who really appreciate specifications, right? I don't want to minimalize those who really do appreciate, you know, that kind of aspect. But at the end of the day, and I'm gonna put a little fancy background here with this Phoibos. At the end of the day, 100 meters, guys, like that means any pool, that means any beach, that means any kind of situation of the norm, you're going to be fine. And even professional diving, I think that if, for the most part, 100 meters covers it, right? Unless you're doing saturation diving, unless you're going extremely below the depths, you're fine. And what you guys are seeing on screen now is just a general look into Phoibos watches. This is not exactly the model that we're looking at. I showed that prior just so you guys know. But I want you guys to get an overall feel of what they showcase and what they have to offer. And I do think that Phoibos has a beautiful range of color. They have materials that they're now using. I think that they were using also mother of pearl prior. But at the end of the day, man, I think they cover a lot of bases, and I think that they're a brand to look at, especially if, and not exclusive to, if you're new to watch collecting. The price point is there, so make it make sense. It does. And everything else. Pocket watch. I love water resistance. 100 meters is good enough for me and any watch. There you go. I'm glad you guys second that. Trap Vision is listening. I do appreciate that. That's Mark from Long Island Watch. He's talking about the Phoibos as well. Because you know what? That wasn't even scheduled, but it's fitting because on his website, he carries Phoibos. Now, I don't know if he already has the Phoibos model that we're talking about. So he may eventually get it. He may already have it. You'll have to check to see what the supply is on his channel, or on his website rather. But at the end of the day, Island Watch carries Phoibos, so therefore we can rest and be settled on that notion. Fair enough. I don't think he's going to carry a brand that's going to be crap. I think that's fair to say. So let's switch things up a little bit. If you guys have questions on it, on the watch, let me know. Throw them in chat. Let me know what your thoughts is overall about the brand as we go along. We're going to kill that camera. We're going to remove this. Hang on one second. Of course, we got an echo. All right. I think that's good now. The show must go on, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the deal. When you're live, things will happen. And you can't edit them out. And it's still going. All right, let me lower the volume. That should be good enough. Apologies. So, with that being said, what I'd like to do, what I'd like to add, hi, beautiful. What I'd like to add is a audit of the website, because what's very important to me and what would make sense to a lot of you is for web-based brands. Now, here's the thing. I say web-based brands, but I did also mention that they're available on Amazon, which was striking to me. I don't know how I feel altogether about my opinion about them being on Amazon. I'm not mad at it because ultimately that means accessibility. And if you do take a liking to one of their watches and it happens to be on Amazon, that just means you're going to have it either the next day, definitely within the week. You're going to have it readily available. So I do like that they have made themselves available, not so much only on the big box websites, right? But also through other websites as well. But I'm not really mad at that because here's the deal. If you want accessibility and if you want to avoid tariffs and things of that nature, maybe even price hikes, right? Because if another website stocks the model and that model either goes discontinued or there's a price hike on it, you may be able to avoid that. So I'm never mad at a brand for expanding or increasing their availability, right? We could talk about Kickstarter as well. I'm not sure if this brand started there. I'm not saying that they did, but I'm also not mad at a brand utilizing Kickstarter. We've talked about web-based brands also utilizing that just to increase their reach. For the most part, I definitely need to see a website direct. And with that being said, when you have a website direct, you also would like to see prices that also are comparable to finding them in other places. Now, Amazon's a different animal because they're going to control that kind of atmosphere a little, but I don't think that you'll find this on Amazon right away. I don't think you're going to find this on any other website except for they're directly right away, right? Because this has just been released. End scene. Let's go back to the website. So on the website itself, and I'll catch up on chat. I do apologize. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's catch up on chat. Don't tell me you're starting your week off. I am, bro. Yes, sir, I am. As a matter of fact, don't judge. Don't judge. It's iced tea. It's iced tea. You guys are having fun with me. Okay, let me switch back. So, PHOIBOS. So here are the models that are available for this new Voyager GMT, yes? Now, let's take a look at what they had prior. And that's something that I wanted to discuss with you because it is relative to the conversation. This is technically still part of that GMT collection. However, what I took notice is for this mother of pearl dial, they did this before on the Voyager 200-meter diver watch, right? So that's the difference of what we're talking about here and what we're talking about there. So they did have this model technically prior for this line where it was specifically for a diver, which makes a lot of sense for this to be 200 meters, which is fantastic. Now, here is the key point, ladies and gentlemen, and here's why I start to believe that this brand is a watch enthusiast brand, yes? You see this right here, this little small window that we like to call an aperture. That is a matching colorway. Now, I don't think that that's mother of pearl underneath the date wheel itself. Otherwise, they'd probably be shotting that. They'd probably be shotting that from the top of a mountain. However, they've matched that date wheel phenomenally, right? And I love that they kept the gold color. Now, it might be a little bit harder to read that date wheel aperture number, but still, it's very nice that it matches the indices, it matches the minute markers, it matches the hands. But the date wheel itself matching the dial lets me know that that's an enthusiast brand off rip. That's one of the indicators. And now I did also show you guys that the watch also had quick release and diver extension on the fly. That's another thing to note for web-based brands as well, because when it comes to convenience, when it comes to wearing your bracelets in the summer, sometimes here I'm in a weird phase. Like I always go bracelet. I always buy bracelet. It doesn't matter what company we're talking about. If there's a bracelet available, unless I'm saving a tremendous amount of money, I go bracelet. With that being said, I like it a lot more when the bracelet gives me that on the fly adjustment and also quick release. Not necessarily needed as much for the quick release. There are no drilled lugs here. So it's nice to still have that quick release when you want to just change straps out very quickly with your fingers and everything else. So anyway, going back to the divers, I will catch up on chat, but let me close this out with the website itself. So they did have this Voyager prior. It was a diver. They did have the mother of pearl. It is sold out. So which makes sense to me for them to reintroduce that color with the Voyager GMT version. So we had the purple, and by the way, I had my choice between this purple and the mother of pearl. I decided to go with the mother of pearl, again, hoping that my wife would like the dial, and she does like the mother of pearl dial as is, so it was a home run. It's probably going to be another watch in her collection. Now, let's take a look at the actual design factor, right? So we have the logo here, which is the octopus. I told you guys why they went with the octopus. It does have a crown. There are significant reasons why to that. I didn't want to go too far into it, but I do ask that you do your due diligence if you want to know more about the logo. But the point is this. The logo itself is proportional. I do like the GMT in the red text. I do like that there's only 2 lines of text here, and I do like how the GMT hand is pulling off of that GMT notion. GMT here, GMT hand, it makes sense. And on this one, it matches a little less for the actual aperture itself, right? So we don't have an exact matching for the date wheel. However, it can be perceived in this point of view that this aperture with the white background is matching the indices here, right? To give that continuation, right? And I'll show you something. And I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure. Just to show you guys, if you look here, they're at least giving you colorways to match it. They didn't give you the white one here. They gave you a darker tone. Let's look at their aventurine glass for their dial. They have aventurine here. They have a aperture that matches it as well. So it kind of looks hidden. And then they have the colorways to match for the GMT hand and everything else. So very nice. Very nice. So we have the purple. We have this mother of pearl. We have this red. We have this aventurine with the Batman kind of look. And then we have this one here, which is the green bezel with, by the way, let's blow this up. We have the green. So very nice, man. They're matching it to some degree, right? For sure. They're matching it to some degree. Specifications are there. I don't have any reason to believe why this isn't a good buy. Now, here's the deal. Just so you guys know, I mentioned this before. There is a 20% deal that they have going on right now. It's at the top here. VR20 saves you 20% off. If you are interested, right? I'm not trying to enable anything, but if you are interested, if you have been convinced, if a GMT is not yet in your collection and you're looking for something, I think the aventurine glass is a good step in. Here's the deal, man. I was interested in the mother of pearl because I've never had mother of pearl, and I wanted to be able to appreciate that kind of stone or natural material, if you will, into the dial itself. And I think it looks fantastic, but I do feel like it's more so for the feminine nature. And I want to say that sensitively wise because maybe somebody out there is a male and they do like this dial, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think what pushes it over the edge for me, because I would have been okay with the mother of pearl dial for sure, but I think that with this bezel insert going with it, it really pushes it a little bit more over the edge towards that nature, if you will. But hey, listen, who am I? That's just my opinion. You guys have your own. Let's catch up on chat. What are you guys saying? Ben 10 with the super chat. Salute to starting the week on a good old brown. Appreciate it. Hit that super chat voice and take a sip of that brown for your boys. Cheers. Absolutely, man. I will do that. Cheers to you, my friend. I always appreciate you on chat. Thank you for taking notice. I appreciate the super chat. And I'll give you 1-1. Ben 10 with the super chat. Tom Hudson, watch fanatic. What's going on, brother, man? How are you, sir? How are you? I really enjoy your content, by the way. Riskful ignorance is laughing. Real men wear mother of pearl. Dude, here's the deal. And I don't want to mention other watches because this is supposed to be all about PHOIBOS, but there are other watches out there with mother. I'll wear a mother of pearl all day long. The only reason why I said what I said is because with the white dial, with the white bezel, and my wife wants it. I don't know if you guys picked that up, but with the white bezel on top of it, dude, I could still rock this. I could throw this on a dark leather, and I think it might just work for me. So you're absolutely right, Kevin. I take it back. Real men wear mother of pearl, and real men wear pink watches. I have pink watches as well. I have pink watches for sure. So listen, colors are colors. You know what I mean? You're absolutely right. Thank you for humbling me, Kevin, and bringing me back. But here's the deal, Kevin. I am married, and the wife likes this watch. Therefore, I'm you-know-what out. Wearing a mother of pearl right now. That's crazy coincidence. That mother of pearl is very elegant. I would love the purple one. Yeah, dude, and they gave me the option between the purple and mother of pearl. But I went with the mother of pearl because, you know what? There was another watch that the wife really took notice of, and we didn't go that route. And therefore, I was like, you know what? Let me do the right thing. You know what I mean? But the purple's very nice too, man. The purple is very, very nice. Let's bring that back up, shall we? While I have you guys. I think all the colors are awesome, dude. And I'll tell you what, man, Aventurine is in. I know it's been done, right? Aventurine's not new at this point, but it's still very nice. The purple's nice. It's like a gradient. It's like a sunburst. I think it's more of a sunburst than anything else, but I think that they did two things. I think they did like a gradient color, a darker to the edge, kind of like a gray or black, which is why you get that aperture where you get the gray on the background, and then you get the gray on the bottom here for the GMT, and then it gets lighter towards the center of the watch itself. So I think it's well executed. I like the orange too. I like that they didn't go too bright on the orange. Maybe it's just the photos. I don't know. I don't have the watch on me. But I think the colors are phenomenal. I think that they matched it up very, very nice. And you know what? A Batman will sell all day long, right? I think that blue is probably, I haven't Googled this or asked Chat GPT, but I think blue is the favorite, is the number one top color when it comes to favorite color. And I think this is done and executed very nicely as well. You have the GMT hand to match. I think that this is going to sell very well. And I don't know, man, I'm excited to see what happens with this, because again, if you look at the older models from PHOIBOS, if you look at the Voyager, this one is still available. This one's sold out. This one's still available. And this, what is this called? Not Tiger's Eye, the other one. That's sold out as well. Malachite, right? That's Malachite. Am I correct on this or what? Let me see the dial. Green Malachite, yeah. So that one's sold out too. Not a surprise. Malachite is a very thumbprint, unique kind of dial. So for sure. And I think they're going to do very good with these Aventurine being introduced. This is a really fun watch as well, this kind of yellow colorway. But I think the Aventurine's going to do very well. I would suspect that if I had to guess the order that this is going to be sold out, let me know if you think I'm right. But the order in which this will be sold out is, I think that this blue Batman will be sold out. I think then the mother of pearl, to be honest with you. I think then comes the this green Aventurine, this green bezel combination. And then I think the red and purple probably stay around, because here's what I suspect from PHOIBOS. These are my other thoughts. If you have enough inventory to fulfill the likes of a website like Long Island Watch, Amazon, and others, I have to say that your production is very, very high, right? I think that that is fair. Let me take this comment off. I think that that's very fair to say. As far as how much they're able to produce, they're obviously able to mass produce this to keep up inventory of that like, but at the same time, they're still sold out on their website. So if you want to balance that scale, if you want to balance that idea from what I'm saying, I think that it's not like a AliExpress type of production, right? But it's more so they're probably have a little bit higher production, and they're spreading themselves amongst the websites itself, where they're able to keep up with the demand of all three outlets, if you will. Does that make sense? A mother of pearl is nice, but I do believe it's marketed to women for that reason. Yeah, you know what, dude? Let's talk about that as well. So for sure, women are going to be more gravitated to the mother of pearl. Do I think that they are limited to a mother of pearl? Absolutely not. I think a woman can choose any one of those colorways, just like how I think a man can wear the mother of pearl. By nature, I think that they're going to probably choose that more often, if that makes sense. But at the end of the day, I've watched my beautiful wife put watches on her wrist that you would have thought would have been a little too toolish or a little too beefy. Like, dude, I'm starting to see the lines blurred when it comes to that, because she put the Noctua watch on her wrist, and it looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. And she can wrist a lot of watches that is surprising. Looks fantastic on her wrist. And here's the deal. Wear what you love, and it doesn't matter anything else. Because a lot of people would say this F91W on my wrist is teeny tiny, right? A lot of people would say that this is too small for a 7¼ inch wrist. I don't think that that's the case anymore. And my mind has changed literally over time with that as well. Oh, one thing I wanted to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I wanted to check. Let me make sure I have my calibers. I wanted to check the thickness on that. on this watch, because on the website it did say at one point with and without the glass. And for me, it's like the glass is on there, the sapphire crystal is on there rather. So therefore, it's part of that thickness, if you will. So on my calibers with the domed crystal, we're actually getting a 14 point. Wait, let me make sure. Hold on. Let me make sure I reset this correctly. Okay. We're now at 0. Let's measure that up. So with the dome crystal, it's 14.4. So keep that in mind, right? But still not a super thick watch, right? Just an average. I would say it's pretty much like an average thickness of what you would expect from a diver watch, especially when we talk about the NH movement. The NH35, NH34, all of the movements of that is pretty much the same thickness. So unless you go Miyota and you get a true Travelers, you're not going to be able to reduce that case size. You can do so to some degree. We've seen that with other brands. But for the most part, you're going to see that 13 to 14 millimeter thickness when it comes to both the NH35, NH36, NH34, and everything else of the like. Is the bezel ceramic? Is the bezel ceramic? Let's take a look. That's a good question. I'll be honest with you. I'm just unboxing this, so I'm not entirely sure. Let's find out together. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to, as I like to always say, we're going to land this plane. Let's see. Bezel insert, bezel insert, bezel insert. Glossy light cream. Ceramic bezel. There you go. Yes, it is a ceramic bezel. Right there. So the answer to that question, sir, Mr. Oscar Nunez, is yes. Enjoy your new Voyager. I'm out. Larry, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your input. Especially a person that collects PHOIBOS watches, your input was very valuable on this live segment. I am going to wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have any other questions, now here's the deal. I'm going to do a deep dive review of this watch as well. I'm hopefully going to get some notes from the wife. She's going to have her input on it. Maybe we can get her on, not on camera, but we'll get her voice at least, and I'll do the B-roll on top of it. And she'll try to do like a review, like a reviewer. She'll sit in the hot seat, okay, to see how easy it is to do what I do, okay? Just saying. What else are we saying? All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that unboxing. I hope that it was enjoyable and you guys got something from it. I'm excited to see how this... Now, before we end this, I will say this. With the crown, because I did mess around with the crown a little bit, buttery smooth, right? When we talk about the crown interacting with the crown tube, one thing to look at with watches within this price range is sometimes it's a little gritty. This time, that wasn't the case. It was the complete polar opposite. When I was doing the keyless work functions and I was screwing down the crown, I was unscrewing the crown, buttery smooth, no grittiness. Of course, the interaction with the movement itself is what it is, right? It is an NH34 nonetheless. But what I'm talking about is the actual physical case from the crown to the crown tube. Fantastically buttery smooth. I can't say that. So I'm expecting good things to come up from the next few weeks that we do inspect this watch and see how it holds up and see how it does for the deep dive review. Ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate you guys for signing in. She will enjoy it, Kevin. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this segment. And I'll tell you what, I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Cheers, guys. I'll see you later.